Hello everyone, and this is my review for Monday Night Raw on August 25th, 2014. And, this week's show did not really feel like it was, in the grand scheme of things, did not feel like it was in grand importance of, the building feuds and going into the next pay-per-view. There were some very high points in the show, and you did get a few new feuds started, and of course continuations with what happened with SummerSlam and everything. New feuds that started up throughout the night. Obviously, they're starting something with Sheamus and Cesaro, with having Cesaro win the #1 contenders match for the United States title, which has seemed kind of weird that they would put him in this kind of position, because as of late they had not really been letting Cesaro win, and it feels weird now that they're trying to build him up as this potential contender to Sheamus. Though the match itself should be a lot of fun to watch whenever it does happen, more than likely with Night of Champions. And they still got time to build that feud to make it seem more feasible down in the future. So we'll see where they go with that. It seems as if, with Dean Ambrose out of action with what they pulled with the cinder block deal last week, it's giving time for Seth Rollins to have his feud with Roman Reigns, who's been, you have two stars that are building themselves up there. It's probably time for, both of them to kind of, go up against each other, especially since, Seth Rollins won't be feuding with Dean Ambrose, at least for the foreseeable future, because they're going to be playing up that injury angle. And it was a decent start. I liked the eulogy thing that they did with Seth Rollins. It was a fun segment, and I liked the interruption of with Roman Reigns in the middle of that, leading to the handicap match with Kane and Seth Rollins, which was an okay match. It wasn't really anything special. They were just trying to set up the feud there. I like the little cinder block, them trying to bring the cinder block deal back into it, and then tides getting reversed with Roman Reigns almost getting a hold of Seth Rollins in that case. The Bella Twin feud, honestly, this week I felt it was a lot better. It feels like, neither one of them are, great actresses or anything like that, but, it felt like they were getting more comfortable in their roles this week than they did last week. You could tell, in a sense, the week before that both of them were not very comfortable with both of their roles in this feud. It seemed to come off a little bit better this week. It wasn't the greatest promo in the world, but it was a very effective one, and I felt it just came off a lot better than it did last week, and you could tell with the fans as well that they got behind it a little bit more than they were before. It's not the greatest thing out there, but it was a lot more effective in building this feud than it was that week before, the night after SummerSlam. The Paige and AJ Lee feud, honestly, I feel they're going back to this whole, flip-flopping between the two of them. It's like Paige, leading up to the SummerSlam match, was doing this, stalker frenemy type deal with AJ, and now the roles are reversed. Paige has the title, and now AJ's reversing that role and going the exact same route with Paige. And, it is... that feud is it has been far more entertaining at this point than most of the Divas feuds, outside of, what they did leading up with Brie and Stephanie. And it'll be interesting to see if that's the route they continue on with, and how they will be dealing with their next match, which will more than likely be at Night of Champions. So we'll see where they actually go with that. The Miz continuing his feud with Dolph Ziggler. Honestly, I actually like this one. I've been kind of a big fan of The Miz, and I liked where they went with this whole, he wasn't going to put himself on the line type deal until he has his rematch with Dolph Ziggler, and which of course more than likely will be at Night of Champions again, and that, until that time he was going to have his own personal stunt double, and it ends up being Damien Sandow, who's, of course been doing this, changing his outfit gimmick over the last couple months. And I actually personally liked that one. The match itself was ho-hum. It wasn't all that great, but it came off really well, at least in the terms of a gimmick, and I found it thoroughly entertaining with, Miz trying to pull the whole stunt double deal. Um, this one, oh wow, this one actually leads me into what I feel was the best part of the show. And oddly enough, that was the Goldust Stardust turn on the Usos. You had a pretty good tag team match going, tag team title match going with the Usos there, and in the end, it just felt like, and right at the end of the match, one of the Usos gets hurt, can't get back in the ring, and gets counted out. Obviously, instead of trying to just get another match with them, you have Goldust, get on the microphone, cut a scathing promo against the Usos, saying that they got themselves counted out on purpose, which leads them to attack the both of them. I actually personally like this one a little bit better than what most people were thinking they were going to go with, which was, either at some point they would get a tag team title shot, they would fail, and then Stardust would, turn on Goldust, making him the heel, and then you kind of have, or he goes away from Stardust, goes back to Cody Rhodes, and you have the Cody Rhodes Goldust feud that people had been thinking that was the route that they were going. Having them both turn heel, especially with Goldust, who's played a heel, and same with Cody Rhodes, he's played a heel, and probably a far better heel than they had ever done playing a face in the past. So this was a lot. I thought this was a really good segment, and I really like to see where they go with the Goldust and Stardust heel turn here. And this pretty much leads to what pretty much the main focus of the show, or at least the main events of the show, which was the whole John Cena interrupting the Hall of Fame panel, them talking about the rematch with him and Brock Lesnar at the Night of Champions pay-per-view, and each of them saying that, for the most part, them saying that, it really doesn't seem to have a chance of winning, and then, Cena coming out trying to actually show that he had changed, but changed for the, ended up changing for the better, that he's going to be able to beat Brock Lesnar. He's not just going to beat Brock Lesnar, he's going to beat him down at the pay-per-view, which, honestly, if you think in the storyline, John Cena probably kind of needs a little bit of a redemption with how bad they beat him down at SummerSlam, but I don't think that they will actually put the title on him again. I feel if they do anything in that sense, will be he'll get disqualified or something, and honestly, hoping into that case, I'm hoping to see a more even type of match for the Night of Champions pay-per-view versus the actual SummerSlam one, where they book Brock Lesnar properly, which was him being the dominant force in there. So this match, I would figure, would be more of a even keel type match, or not even keel, but same intensity, but more of an even match, which will probably end up with John Cena or Brock Lesnar getting disqualified, and then probably leading into Cena's, getting some redemption for the beatdown he got at SummerSlam. So hopefully they won't be putting the title on Cena. I really didn't care much for how they had him work with Bray Wyatt that night. I get what they were trying to go for with him putting the hurt on Bray Wyatt. Honestly, I feel like they could have probably chosen somebody completely different there. I'm not saying they completely buried Bray in this sense, but I felt like they could have done that with someone else, especially since Bray Wyatt's supposed to be feuding with Chris Jericho to begin with, and we'll see where they continue on with this whole John Cena trying to put himself over a little bit more, and that trying to convince the fans that not only can he beat Brock Lesnar, he can beat down Brock Lesnar. I don't think it was too terribly effective, but I can see where they're trying to go with it into the future. The Brock Lesnar promo package, I thought, was a great package again, and again, it stresses the point that you never give Brock Lesnar a live microphone. You sit him in front of a camera, and then he can cut his promo. And that's how he's best at cutting his promos, is in front of that camera. And you know, they did another great one this week. And you know, overall, the feeling of the show, you know, it had its ups, it had its downs. For the most part, it didn't really feel like it was an important show going into the Night of Champions pay-per-view. You had a few new feuds start up, but it didn't really click on all cylinders, in my own personal opinion. It was an okay show, some okay matches on there, nothing too spectacular. Yeah, also had the beginnings with Bo Dallas and Jack Swagger after, you know, Swagger lost to Rusev, and then, you know, you have Bo Dallas, you know, giving his inspirational speech in the locker room, which eventually led to Jack Swagger attacking him later in the show. But you know, you didn't really get. I didn't feel like you got too terribly much out of this show. I'm kind of looking for more build to everything with next week's show, and we'll see where they actually go with everything. So that was my review this week for Monday Night Raw, and I thank you guys for watching.